Have you ever stopped to think that your soul may be preparing for something your conscious mind hasn't yet perceived? That there is a deeper, wiser part of you already organizing everything behind the scenes of your existence? The truth is this: your soul doesn't wait for permission from your mind to begin its journey of transcendence. It acts, moves, prepares, and it leaves signs. Clear, profound signs, impossible to ignore once you finally learn to recognize them. In this video, I will reveal the 5 most powerful signs that your soul is already preparing for life after death. And before you think this is something frightening or negative, let me tell you one thing. It's not. In fact, it's the opposite. It's about awakening. It's about evolution. It's about your soul recognizing that there is something far greater happening beyond what your physical eyes can see. Many people live these signs and feel confused, lost, even scared. They wake up different. They feel that something changed, but can't name what. They begin to question everything: their relationships, their purpose, the meaning of life. And then comes anxiety, fear, the sense that something is wrong, but nothing is wrong. Quite the opposite. Your soul is simply reminding you who you truly are: an eternal, infinite being who is just passing through a temporary experience called physical life. The 5 signs I will share with you don't appear all at once. They emerge gradually, sometimes over months or even years. Some people experience all of them, others only a few. But they all have one thing in common. They are calls from the soul to a deeper understanding of existence. And here's something important I need to make clear from the start. These signs do not mean you are going to die tomorrow. It's not about that. It's not about a marked date or a dark premonition. It's about spiritual preparation. It's about your soul expanding its consciousness, undoing the knots that bind you to the ego, to fear, to the illusions of the material world. Think of it this way. When you prepare for an important journey, you don't do it at the last minute, right? You organize your things, settle debts, say your goodbyes, tidy the house. Your soul does exactly the same. It begins to tidy the spiritual house long before the moment of departure arrives. And you know what's most amazing? When you recognize these signs and understand what they mean, your life changes completely. You stop worrying about trivialities. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You begin to live with more purpose, more presence, more love. The first sign that your soul is preparing for life after death comes at night, when your conscious mind finally rests and allows true spiritual communication to take place. You begin to dream of people who have passed away. But these are not ordinary dreams. They are experiences so vivid, so real, that when you wake, the feeling is that the person really was there. You remember the details: the tone of voice, the smell, the texture of the hug, the sparkle in the eyes. Everything seems more real than reality itself. And here's the secret many don't understand. Those aren't just dreams. They are spiritual visitations, genuine encounters happening in a dimension your waking mind still can't fully access. When your soul starts preparing for the transition, it naturally begins to fine-tune your vibration with the spiritual plane. It's like tuning a radio. You are starting to pick up frequencies that were previously out of your reach. And who is on the other side, waiting, ready to assist you in this process? Those you loved and who left before you. Pay attention to the details of these dreams. The departed often appear peaceful, radiant, younger than when they left. They don't come bearing messages of fear or despair. They come with love, with tranquility, sometimes with specific guidance about things you need to resolve here. And there's another important detail. those dreams begin to happen more frequently. If before you dreamt of someone who passed once a year, suddenly you are dreaming multiple times a week, sometimes multiple times in the same week. Your soul is intensifying the connection, opening portals of communication between worlds. Many people ask me, but how do I know whether it's really a spiritual visitation or just my mind creating images? The answer lies in the sensation that lingers afterward. A normal dream dissolves quickly when you wake. A spiritual visit stays with you throughout the day, sometimes for days. You feel a presence, an inexplicable peace, a deep certainty that it was real. Your soul is doing this for a specific reason. It is preparing you emotionally. It is showing you that death is not the end of connections, that love transcends all physical barriers, that you will reunite with all whom you love when your time comes. And you know what's most beautiful? When you begin to have these dreams, it is a sign that you are ready to look beyond the veil of material illusion, ready to understand that there is much more happening than your 5 physical senses can perceive. If you are having these dreams, do not ignore them. Don't dismiss them as just dreams. Write them down. Reflect on them. Be grateful for them, because they are gifts from your soul, preparing you for the most important journey you will ever take. The second sign is one of the most transformative and, for many, the most disconcerting. Suddenly, things that once mattered so much to you simply cease to matter. That car you dreamed of owning, it no longer matters. That job promotion you chased so hard, it's lost its sparkle. Fashion brands, the latest gadgets, social status, all begin to feel empty, meaningless, almost childish. And it's not that you are depressed or giving up on life. It's actually the opposite. You are finally seeing life as it truly is. Your soul, when it begins preparing for the transition, naturally loosens its grip on the material world. It knows something your ego is still learning. You can't take any of it with you. Not a cent. Not a jewel. Not a trophy. Nothing. As this detachment happens, you begin to see the material world for what it really is, a temporary stage, a place of learning. Not the final destination, but just a stop in the soul's infinite journey. And here's something fascinating. The more you detach from the material, the more your life becomes filled with things that genuinely nourish your soul. Relationships deepen. You rediscover passions you had forgotten. You begin seeking experiences instead of possessions, connection instead of accumulation. This doesn't mean you're going to throw everything away and become a monk in the Himalayas. It means your relationship with things fundamentally changes. You may continue working, earning money, living comfortably, but none of that defines or controls you anymore. Your soul is teaching you a crucial lesson. You came here with nothing, and you will leave with nothing. What you take with you is only who you became, the love you gave, the lessons you learned, the light you shared. And there is another aspect to this sign that is equally important. You begin instinctively attending to material loose ends. You organize documents. You draw up a will. You pay off debts. You return borrowed things. It's as if your soul is tidying the house before departing on a long journey. Many people resist this process. They fear losing the identity they built based on possessions and external achievements. But those who surrender to this detachment discover an indescribable freedom. They discover that true wealth has always been inside, never outside. If you are going through this detachment, celebrate. Your soul is freeing you from the heaviest chains of all, material attachment. It is preparing you to fly. The third sign is perhaps the most profound of all. It is a feeling that begins to grow within you, soft at first, but increasingly present. The sense that you have done what you came here to do. It's not a sense of giving up. It's not fatigue. It's not despair. It's a deep peace, a completeness that doesn't depend on external achievements. It's like reaching the end of a well-written book and feeling that everything made sense, that every chapter had its purpose. Your soul knows exactly why you incarnated in this life. It had contracts, agreements, specific lessons to learn and teach. And when those main missions begin to complete, it sends this clear signal. It is done. Everyone describes the same thing. A sensation that cycles are closing, that the pieces finally fit, that the puzzle is complete. And along with this feeling comes something extraordinary, spontaneous reconciliation with the past. You catch yourself forgiving people you swore you'd never forgive. Old hurts simply dissolve. Resentments lose their power. You feel a deep compassion for everyone who passed through your life, even those who hurt you. This happens because your soul is resolving pending karmas. It is undoing energetic knots that bound you to certain patterns, certain people, certain pains. It knows it cannot advance to the next stage carrying those weights. Let me give you a practical example. You have a family member you haven't spoken to in years because of a fight long ago. Suddenly, out of nowhere, you feel a genuine impulse to call them, to make peace, to clear the air. You don't force this. It's not an obligation. It's a natural movement of your soul packing its luggage before departure. And there's more. You begin to feel gratitude for things that once bothered you. That difficult boss? You see the lessons they taught. That painful betrayal? You see how it strengthened you, redirected you to better paths. That devastating loss? You understand that it was part of the larger plan. Your soul is showing you the complete tapestry of your life. From a human viewpoint, we see only loose threads, disconnected moments, some good, some bad. But when the soul assumes the perspective, you see the entire design, and it is beautiful. This sense of mission fulfilled brings an incredible freedom. You stop living in survival mode and begin living in being mode. You stop chasing validation and simply exist. You stop worrying about what you haven't done and celebrate everything you have lived. Many people fear this sign. They think, if my mission is fulfilled, does it mean I'm going to die? No. It means you have completed the main curriculum, and now you are in the credits section. Everything from here on is bonus, pure grace, living for the pleasure of existence, not out of obligation or karmic debt. And you know what happens when you reach that state? You finally live, truly, without guilt, without fear, without haste. Each day becomes a gift, not a demand. You are free to create, love, explore, without the weight of needing to prove something or achieve something to validate your existence. The fourth sign happens in moments when you least expect it. You're washing the dishes, walking down the street, taking a shower, or simply looking out the window. And suddenly, it happens, an expansion. Your consciousness opens in a way you've never experienced before. For a few seconds, maybe minutes, you're no longer just you. You are everything. You feel the connection with every tree, every person, every star in the sky. The barriers between you and the universe simply disappear. And in that moment, you understand things you can't explain with words. You just know. You know that everything is connected. You know that separation is an illusion. You know that you are a unique expression of universal consciousness, experiencing itself through your eyes. These experiences can be overwhelming. Some people cry, others laugh. Many remain in absolute silence, simply absorbing the magnitude of what they are feeling. There's no right or wrong way to live through these moments. Each soul processes it in its own way. When your soul begins to prepare for life after death, these experiences become more frequent. Your consciousness is literally expanding beyond the limits of the physical body. It's practicing for the moment when there will no longer be a body to limit you. And along with these expansions comes another incredible phenomenon. Synchronicities drastically intensify. You think of someone, and that person calls you. You need an answer, and a book falls into your lap with exactly what you needed to read. You wonder about something, and the answer appears in a stranger's conversation nearby. This is not coincidence. It's your soul navigating the invisible currents of reality. It's you beginning to operate on a frequency where time and space work differently, where thought and manifestation are much closer together. Many people have these experiences and feel scared. They think they're going crazy, losing touch with reality. But the truth is exactly the opposite. You are finally coming into contact with actual reality, beyond the three-dimensional illusion we've been taught to call life. Your soul is showing you glimpses of what's to come. It's preparing you for an existence where you are no longer confined to a body, a place, or a specific moment in time. An existence where your consciousness can be in multiple places simultaneously, where you can perceive dimensions that now you only intuit. And there's more. These experiences are often accompanied by information downloads. Suddenly, you understand complex spiritual concepts without ever having studied them. You have profound insights about the nature of reality, past lives, the purpose of existence. All of it arrives in flashes of instant knowing. Your soul isn't just preparing to leave. It's remembering who it really is. It's reconnecting with the wisdom it has always had, but that was dormant during the human experience. If you're having these expansion experiences, embrace them. Don't try to rationalize them or fit them into logical boxes. Just feel. Just allow. Because your soul is giving you the greatest gift possible, the remembrance that you are infinite. And before we continue to the next sign, tell me in the comments, have you ever had a consciousness expansion experience? That moment when everything made sense, even without words? Leave it below. I want to know. Now we arrive at the fifth and final sign, and this is the most mysterious of all. Your perception of time begins to change in ways that defy any logical explanation. Days pass like hours. Weeks vanish in the blink of an eye. You look at the calendar and can't believe it's already December, that it's been months since that event that feels like it just happened yesterday. Or the opposite happens. You live through moments that seem to stretch out endlessly. A 5-minute conversation feels like an hour. A hug seems to freeze time around you. You experience a presence so deep that the clock simply stops making sense. Your soul is doing this for a specific reason. It's disconnecting you from the linear illusion of time. It's preparing you for a dimension where past, present, and future don't exist the way we know them. Where everything is now, always has been now, always will be now. Let me explain something that completely changed my understanding of this. Time, as we experience it, is a construct of physical reality. It's a navigation tool for consciousness trapped in three-dimensional bodies. But when you die, when your soul is freed from the body, that construct disappears. And your soul, as it begins to prepare, naturally starts letting go of that illusion. It starts showing you that time is far more fluid, far more malleable than you've always believed. Along with this shift in perception comes another fascinating phenomenon. You lose interest in the material future. Long-term plans that once excited you now seem irrelevant. You can't force yourself to worry about where you'll be 5 years from now, what car you'll have, what house you'll buy. This isn't irresponsibility. It's your soul anchoring you in the only moment that truly exists, now. It's teaching you that the future is a fantasy of the mind, just as the past is a memory. The only reality is this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. And you know what happens when you finally understand this? You begin to truly live. You stop postponing happiness for when something happens. You stop torturing yourself with regrets from the past. You are here, completely present, for the first time in your life. Many people describe this as a feeling of calm urgency. It's not anxiety. It's not desperation. It's a deep recognition that every moment matters, not because time is running out, but because each moment is all that exists. You begin to savor experiences in ways you never did before. A cup of coffee becomes a meditation. A conversation with a friend becomes sacred. A sunset becomes a revelation. Because you are finally present to receive the fullness of each experience. Your soul is teaching you to live in eternal time. Not the time the clock marks, but the time the heart feels. The time where a second can contain eternity, and eternity can fit into a second. And there's another aspect to this sign that's equally powerful. You stop living on autopilot. You know those days that go by and you barely remember what you did? That disappears. Every day becomes memorable, not because something extraordinary happened, but because you were there, truly there, for every second. Some people describe this as feeling like time is speeding up uncontrollably. Others feel like time has completely stopped. Both are right. What's really happening is that your consciousness is transcending the linear temporal structure and experiencing time as it truly is. A fluid dimension, not a straight line. This can be disorienting at first. You may find yourself missing appointments, forgetting what day it is, mixing up dates. But over time, you develop a completely new relationship with time. A relationship based on presence, not planning, on being, not doing. Your soul is freeing you from the subtlest prison of all, the prison of time. It's showing you that you were never limited to the past, will never be confined to the future. You are here, in this eternal now, where all of life happens. If you're experiencing these changes in time perception, celebrate. Your soul is giving you a taste of eternity even before you leave the body. It's showing you that death is not an end in time, it's a release from time. And when you finally understand this, the fear of death simply disappears, because you realize there was never enough time to lose. There was never a race against the clock. It was always just this moment, infinite and perfect, disguised as an entire lifetime. Now that you know the 5 signs, I need to tell you something important. You are not the first to experience this. Far from it. Ancient cultures around the world have always known about these signs. They have always recognized when a soul was preparing for the great transition. And the most fascinating part is that completely separate traditions, which never had any contact with each other, describe exactly the same phenomena. Native American shamans called this the call of the ancestors. They believed that when a person began having visits in dreams, detachment from material things, and changes in perception, it was because their ancestors were already preparing the path back home. The whole tribe recognized these signs and honored the person, knowing they were transitioning between worlds. In Tibet, Buddhist monks developed an entire practice around these signs. They call it phawa, the transfer of consciousness. The masters taught that these signs were golden opportunities to practice conscious death, to actively prepare for the great passage. They didn't see this as something sad, but as a spiritual privilege. And here's something that gives me chills. The Tibetan Book of the Dead describes in eerily accurate detail the states of consciousness that accompany these signs. It talks about the visions, the expansions of consciousness, the dissolution of material attachment. Everything we're discussing here was mapped over 1,000 years ago. In Hindu tradition, there is the concept of moksha, the final liberation from the cycle of rebirths. And the Vedic sages always taught that before moksha, the soul goes through a process of purification and detachment. that it naturally releases the bonds of the material world and begins to perceive reality beyond the veil of Maya, the illusion. The ancient Egyptians had a very deep understanding of this. To them, life was entirely a preparation for death, and they believed that the soul began communicating with the world of the dead long before physical departure. Dreams with the deceased weren't coincidences, they were initiations, training for the journey through the 12 gates of the Duat, the underworld. And you know what all these traditions have in common? None of them saw these signs with fear. All of them celebrated, all of them honored, because they recognize something that modern culture has forgotten. Death is not a tragedy. It is a graduation. Now, before we move on, let me make an important invitation. If you want to master this expansion of consciousness and learn to deeply connect with your soul and the universe in a practical and transformative way, I invite you to the Quantum Thinking Challenge. It's 21 days of daily practices where you'll reprogram your mind, raise your vibration, and unlock your full spiritual potential. Over 3 weeks, you'll receive specific exercises to expand your consciousness and begin to perceive the signs your soul is sending you. The first participants have already sent me amazing reports of synchronicities, manifestations, and awakenings happening in their lives. Are you ready for yours too? The link is in the first pinned comment. But going back to ancestral traditions, there's another crucial point they all share: the concept of active preparation. None of these cultures believed in just passively waiting for death. They taught that once you recognize the signs, you have a responsibility to consciously participate in the process. The Celts had the Druids, who accompanied people during this transition. They performed specific rituals to strengthen the connection between worlds, to ensure the soul was prepared and protected during the passage. They believed that dying consciously, prepared, was the greatest spiritual act a person could undertake. In African tradition, especially among the Yoruba, there is the concept that the ancestors never truly leave. They simply change form. And when a person starts showing the signs, it means they are nearing the ancestral realm, soon to join as a guardian and guide for those who remain. And here's something that completely changed my perspective. All these traditions taught that death is not merely a biological event, it's an alchemical transformation. It's the soul finally freeing itself from the densest form of matter and returning to its true luminous nature. The Christian Gnostics, before being persecuted and erased from history, taught that the physical body was only a temporary garment. That true resurrection didn't happen after death, but during life, when you recognized your divine nature and began to live from that awareness. Siberian shamanism speaks of little deaths, consciousness expansion experiences where you temporarily die to the ego and are reborn into cosmic consciousness. They believed these little deaths prepared the soul for the great final death, making it a familiar rather than frightening experience. And you know what's the common denominator in absolutely all of these traditions? The idea that the soul knows what it's doing, that you can trust the process, that your soul has infinitely more wisdom than your conscious mind, and when it begins guiding you through these signs, the only thing you need to do is surrender and trust. The Sufi mystics had a beautiful phrase, "Die before you die." This wasn't morbid. It was an invitation to die to the ego, to the illusions, to the fears, while still alive, so that when physical death arrives, you're already familiar with expansion, transcendence, and freedom. What all these ancestral wisdoms teach us is that our modern culture has everything wrong about death. We've turned something sacred into a taboo. We've created fear around something that should be celebrated. We isolate the dying when we should be honoring them as portals between worlds. And most importantly, all these traditions recognized that the signs we discussed are not signs of illness or problems. They are signs of awakening. They are the soul saying, I am ready for the next phase. I am remembering who I really am. So when you experience these signs, know that you are following in the footsteps of billions of souls who came before you. You are participating in a process as ancient as consciousness itself. And you are not alone. The ancestors from all these traditions are there, on the other side of the veil, waiting to guide you home when your time comes. Now I need to clarify something absolutely essential, because I know many people are watching this video with their hearts racing, thinking, I have these signs. Does this mean I'm going to die soon? The answer is no, and you need to understand this difference with crystal clarity. Preparation is not premonition. Preparation is a spiritual process that can last years, even decades. Premonition is a specific knowledge that something is going to happen soon. They are completely different things. Your soul doesn't work with deadlines. It doesn't mark a date on the calendar. It doesn't operate in the linear time your mind knows. When your soul begins to prepare, it doesn't mean you're leaving tomorrow, next week, or next year. It only means that you've entered a new stage of consciousness. Think of it this way. When a caterpillar builds a cocoon, it's preparing to become a butterfly. But the time it spends inside that cocoon varies. Some stay for weeks, others months. The process cannot be rushed. It happens at the right time, in the perfect moment. You are the same. Your soul has entered the cocoon. It's undergoing a deep transformation. But when will you emerge as a butterfly? Only the universe knows. And honestly, it doesn't matter. What matters is the transformation happening now. I know people who experienced all 5 of these signs and lived another 20-30 years afterward. In fact, they lived the most full and meaningful years of their lives, because they were finally awake, present, living each day as the gift it truly is. And there's another crucial point. These signs are not exclusive to people near physical death. They are signs of ego death, spiritual transcendence, consciousness awakening. You can experience a mystical death, a death of your old self, without your physical body going anywhere. In fact, many spiritual masters throughout history experienced these signs repeatedly. Each time they reached a new level of consciousness, they went through this process of detachment, expansion, reconciliation. That's how spiritual evolution works. You die and are reborn constantly, always in an upward spiral. So if you are experiencing these signs, don't panic. Don't rush to the doctor thinking you have a hidden terminal illness. Don't make farewell lists. Don't make drastic decisions based on fear. Instead, recognize the gift you're receiving. Your soul is waking you up while you still have time to live fully. It's freeing you from the chains that were holding you back from being who you truly are. It's showing you what really matters before it's too late to enjoy it. And here's the most beautiful part. When you stop living in fear of death, you finally begin to truly live. The paradox is perfect. The preparation for death is, in truth, the preparation for full life. Many people go through their entire lives asleep, running on autopilot, postponing happiness, accumulating regrets. Then, in their final days, when death truly knocks at the door, they wake up in a panic. They realize all they didn't live, all they didn't say, all they didn't do. But you are waking up now, before the end. This isn't a curse. It's an astronomical blessing. Hospice nurses say the most common regrets people have at the end of life are not having had the courage to live the life they wanted, having worked too much, not having expressed their feelings, losing touch with friends, not allowing themselves to be happier. All those regrets come from people who didn't have the opportunity that you have right now. The opportunity to wake up in time, to do things differently, to live with presence, authenticity, and purpose. So don't waste this opportunity with fear. Don't let anxiety about when you're going to die stop you from living now. Your soul is not showing you these signs to scare you. It's showing them to free you. And here's one more thing you need to understand. Even if these signs did indicate a physical departure was near, what would change? Would you live with more fear or more love? Would you close yourself off or open up? Would you accumulate more or give more? The answer to those questions should be the same no matter when you're going to leave. Because the truth is, none of us know. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow. Death can come for anyone at any moment, with or without signs. The only difference is that now you're aware. Now you can no longer pretend you have all the time in the world. And that, my friend, is the greatest gift your soul could give you. So take a deep breath. Calm your heart. You're not dying. You're finally starting to live. Very well. Now, you've recognized the signs. You understand that your soul is going through a profound transformation. The question is, now what? What do you do with this knowledge? First, stop resisting. This is the most important step of all. Many people, when they begin to experience these signs, fight against them. They try to force themselves to care about material things again. They try to suppress the consciousness expansions. They try to ignore the dreams. Second, honor the process. Create simple rituals that acknowledge this sacred transition. It could be lighting a candle every morning and giving thanks for the journey. It could be keeping a spiritual journal where you record your dreams, synchronicities, and consciousness expansions. It could be meditating daily, creating space for your soul to communicate with you. Third, clear your energy, and by that I mean, make the reconciliations that need to be made. Ask forgiveness where you hurt someone. Forgive those who hurt you. Return what isn't yours. Speak the truths you've been holding in. Finish the cycles that were left open. Fourth, simplify your life. If your soul is showing you that material things don't matter, listen to that wisdom. Give away what you don't use. Get rid of the excess. Create physical space, because physical space creates mental and spiritual space. Fifth, deepen your real connections. Your soul is showing you what truly matters: love, connection, presence. So invest in that. Spend more time with the people you love. Have deep conversations instead of superficial ones. Say "I love you" without waiting for the perfect moment. Hug more, listen more, be more present. So we've reached the end of this journey, but in truth, it's not an end. It's a beginning. You now know the 5 signs that your soul is preparing for life after death. You understand that these signs are not a death sentence, but an invitation to awaken. You know what to do when you recognize them. And more importantly, you understand that this process is a blessing, not a curse. But let me tell you something that might be the most important truth of all. Your soul is not just preparing for death. Your soul is preparing for eternal life, for the infinite continuation of consciousness, for the next adventure in a journey that never truly ends. Death is not the end. It never was. It is only a change of form, a transformation. Like the caterpillar becoming a butterfly, like the seed becoming a tree, like the wave returning to the ocean. The essence remains. Only the form changes.